Hi, I'm Valerie, and I just wanted to let you know I have a quick announcement at the end of this video. Stay tuned and check it out.
Today's look is inspired by the long-awaited Draculaura. Draculaura is the adopted daughter of the vampire Dracula. Ironically, she's hemophobic, afraid of blood. As a result, Draculaura is a vegetarian, and she doesn't eat meat or drink blood. Something that makes her very special to longtime fans is her romantic life. Draculaura is quite romantic. At the beginning of the series, Draculaura was interested in a ton of different guys, but she was dead set on finding the one. That's when Draculaura started dating her best friend's brother, Claude Wolf. Even though Claude is a werewolf and eats meat, Draculaura and Claude respect each other's differences, but their relationship is heavily criticized by other werewolves and vampires. In Fright On, Claude is convinced that a vampire could never be a good lover for him. And in Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love, Draculaura is hypnotized by another vampire in order to no longer be in love with Claude. But despite their trials and tribulations, the two are still together. Today's look is inspired by Zombie Gaga, Lady Gaga's Monster High identity. The collaboration between Lady Gaga's Born This Way Foundation and Monster High just made sense, seeing as Lady Gaga calls her fans her little monsters. The character Zombie Gaga is a ghoul that loves to celebrate bravery, kindness, and creativity of each individual. Like Lady Gaga, Zombie Gaga draws people in with her amazing, unique sense of style that changes with her mood. She believes every ghoul deserves to wear what makes them feel the most comfortable and the most like themselves. Zombie Gaga makes it her mission to spread her love around the world, and invites all the other ghouls to join her. I think Lady Gaga was a wonderful choice of celebrity to work with Monster High. She's an artist, a fashion icon, and an activist. I think Lady Gaga and her character Zombie Gaga are a great role model for kids growing up, and I'm really glad that I grew up with her in Monster High. Today's look is inspired by Esquelita Calaveras, where calavera actually means skull in Spanish. Sugar skulls are decorative skulls, usually made out of sugar or clay, used in the celebration Dia de los Muertos. Esquelita grew up in Mexico, and she had two skeleton spirit parents, meaning she was never actually a mortal human. Esquelita is deeply immersed in Mexican culture, coming from both her undead and mortal sides of her family. However, the human part of her family she only gets to see during Dia de los Muertos celebrations. Her family is the most important thing to her, and she wants to make her ancestors proud. Esquelita has a special place in her heart for her grandfather, whose footsteps she wants to follow in. This love is reciprocated by her family when she is the chosen one to carry the family heirloom, a necklace made of volcanic gems. Although the decision to leave her family was hard, the kindness and acceptance shown at Monster High convinced her to take that chance. Today's look is inspired by Jackson Jekyll and his alter ego Holt Hyde. Due to his mother's Jekyll Hyde lineage, he's part human and part fire elemental. Jackson and Holt are based off of the book The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, in which the scientist Dr. Jekyll tries to eradicate all evil from his mind, but instead splits his personality in two, creating the persona Mr. Hyde. However, Jackson spent majority of his life believing he was fully human. Because Jackson appeared normal, he felt out of place at Monster High. So out of place, in fact, that he asked Draculaura to bite him to make him a vampire. He felt as though he didn't belong, but certain events would cause Holt to take form. In his diaries, it said it would be sweat or heat, but in the webisodes, it would be music. Although Jackson and Holt have no control over their transformation, his endearing personality won over many students at Monster High, and some normies too. Today's look is inspired by Amanita Nightshade. Amanita was born from a rare seed coming from the corpse flower, which blooms once every 1,300 years. She used to be owned by a tribe who worshipped her, but her expectations of worship became too high. Her frustration with their incompetence led her to become a flower again. The flower was then gifted to the Denial family, where Nephra Denial began to take care of her. Amanita was well cared for until the Denial family went under conspiracy from their counselor, where the whole family would be mummified and entombed. Amanita used her powers to get Nephra to take her with them, and they were all entombed together. Amanita and the Denials lay dormant for a millennia. When they eventually awoke from their slumber, Nephra and Amanita kept each other company. On the 1300th year, Amanita bloomed, and the Denials were free. Amanita introduced the Denials to their new lives as monsters, no longer seen as humans, and let them know about her fame and worship previously. Today's look is inspired by Toralei Stripe, your classic mean girl. She's best friends with Meowity and Persephone. In Toralei's diary, she says that they're basically sisters. The trio delight in knocking people down a peg. However, Toralei differs from Nephra Denial because she doesn't believe in dragging someone down who's already not doing well. In the 9 Lives of Toralei, we find out that Toralei was the runt of a 6-cat litter. She spent majority of her life on the streets and ended up being arrested for juvenile delinquency. When this happened, Toralei was sent to the pound, and this is where she met the Werecat twins, Meowity and Persephone. When the trio were given the opportunity to enroll at Monster High, they took it. Although Toralei often does things for her own self-gain, she has a softer side for those in need. In fact, it was Toralei that forced Gil to admit that he had lied about his parents, and made him confront them for their judgmental view on saltwater fish. In this way, she helped Laguna, but was it selfless? Today's look is inspired by the Frankenstein Haute Couture doll. In early February this year, the Monster High Instagram account teased and then announced the Haute Couture Monster High collection. The central Haute Couture line centers Frankie, Draculaura, and Claudine. Mattel has already hinted at the fact that there will be more Haute Couture dolls of the other original characters. Frankie was the first of the 3 to actually be released on February 18th. The Frankenstein doll sold out within the day it was released. I remember heavily relating to Frankie as a kid, so I can imagine that a lot of other people felt very nostalgic looking at this doll. Her outfit is very runway chic, but it takes a lot of notes from the original design of the first wave Frankenstein doll. Plus, Monster High announced that they'll be doing reproductions of the first wave dolls very soon. Today's look is inspired by the Monster High Dracula doll, a collaboration with Universal Monsters. The original Dracula was written by Bram Stoker and published in 1892. Historians have long argued whether or not Dracula is based off of historical figures. However, we do know that Stoker picked the name Dracula because he thought it was the Romanian word for devil. An interesting thing about this gothic horror novel is that one of the main themes is sexuality and seduction, which may be related to Bram Stoker's homoerotic letters that he sent to Walt Whitman. Not to mention, he started writing the novel 1 month after his friend Oscar Wilde was imprisoned. The characters in Dracula often represent transgressive sexuality through the performance of gender. As one of the most famous pieces of English literature, the themes and characters within Dracula continue to find their way back into pop culture. Today's look is inspired by Luna Matthews, the daughter of the Mothman. Luna's character has always intrigued me because of her relation to Mothman's lore. Her character's design and color palette more closely resembles that of a butterfly than a moth. But putting that aside, Luna Matthews is from Boo Jersey, and she moves to Boo York to be on the Monster High universe's Broadway, Bloodway. In the Monster High Boo York movie, she even has a little accent to match. What fascinates me about this is that the Mothman cryptid is from West Virginia. But Luna does resemble the Mothman in that she has these bright red eyes, which draws from the original Mothman cryptid that has glowing red eyes that you can see in the dark. Luna's eyes are drawn to the limelight. She wants to be a star. And like many aspiring performers, Luna picks up some side gigs in order to help support her dreams. Nothing can get in the way of her becoming a Bloodway performer, except maybe her moth eyes being distracted by the Boo York lights. Unbox for iridescent Frankenstein with me. The packaging and Frankie themselves is absolutely gorgeous. The first key was sitting with Frankie in their locker. Then you just wash off the coating with water.
Let's go.
Don't worry, the door pops right back on. The first door had their little scarf, skirt, and top. I forgot to record what came in this compartment, but it was their spiked headband and necklace. This compartment had the long-awaited scarlet key ring, their boots, and the last key. Their final accessories include their cute little purse, an ice pop, a little coffin case, and a makeup brush, but I can't get over how cute the keyring is. And here is my final styled Frankenstein. I think they look absolutely amazing.
I hope you've enjoyed all of these compilations of my Monster High makeup looks, and if you have, I wanted to let you know I have a video essay coming out in these next few weeks talking about the Descendants movies. It's going to be a 2-part series talking about all 4 of the Descendants movies. If you're interested in that, please subscribe and keep your eyes peeled.